Guys, this is Reading with Miss Anthony Part 2. This is installment 1. I don't want to ruin it for you. So if you haven't watched Part 1 of our story for the week, make sure you go back and do that. I will give a general kind of review, a synopsis of our first portion of the novel. This is our novel for the week, guys. I'm excited about it. I won't cover Sparrow. January Sparrow is our novel for the week where our main characters, January and Sadie, are having a set of issues. In particular, January ran away at the beginning of the book, was caught and severely beaten. The Crosswhite family, which is the family that originally took January in, had to watch. And Sadie, who meant the most to January, and January, of course, meant the most to her, took it the hardest, but they have made it now to Marshall, Michigan, the Crosswhite family has, and they are in safe quarters. That is where I'm picking up. I'm picking up with installment 1, but part 2 for you guys. Um, Here we go. Are we ready? I hope you're ready. Join me, part 2, January Sparrow by Patricia Polacco. Here we go, guys. Well, I'll be switched. Adam Crosswhite threw his arms around the man. Moses Patterson himself. I don't believe my eyes. And I don't believe mine. Adam Crosswhite. Mr. Patterson just kept shaking his head. They told me a new family was here, but I can't believe what I'm seeing. Sarah, this here's the very man I've been talking about. Adam beamed. Around here, Adam, I'm called Auction Bill, Mr. Patterson announced, patting his head. Yes, sir, I go through town and I ring this here bell to announce when they have an auction or for won't do's. What's a won't do? John asked. Do you want to do this? Or do you want to do that? I tell folks about jobs that need doing. He laughed. There, see, you already got a friend here. I think you folks should stay a while till you get your bearings, Undella coaxed. Adam, they's other African American folks here that are runaways. They've been here for a year or two. No harm has come to them, Auction Bill added. They's white folks here we trust that will give you some work. The children can even go to school and get some book learning, Nancy Reed said with a wink. Oh, please, Daddy, the children pleaded. But if you do stay here, you can't never tell the white folk that you's runaways. Nancy Reed warned. Not even a hint. Mm. As far as folk will know, you are my cousins from Illinois. You're here to help me out. That's what you say. Undella wagged her finger in each of their faces. Finally, Adam and Sarah agreed to stay, but only for a little while, you hear? Just to rest up. At the first sign of trouble, we is heading out for Canada, Adam warned. Sadie watched Auctionbill climb up on a small Indian pony. His legs were so long and the pony so short, the bottoms of his feet almost touched the ground. Sadie laughed out loud. It was the first time she had laughed since she left the plantation. Mr. Patterson took to ringing that bell and trotted on down the street. The Crosswhites stayed right there with Undella. Sarah helped her take in and wash and clean houses. Adam went to work at Charles Gorham's mercantile store. He was a trusted friend of Undella, part of the underground, and he helped runaway slaves regularly. John got a job at Ketchum Mill. Mr. Ingerson, a young lawyer, got the job for him. Ben, Cyrus, and Sadie, for the first time in their lives, were enrolled in school. It was at school that Sadie learned how far Marshall was from Kentucky. Fact is, it was the first time she had seen a map of the whole country. See, this here is Michigan. A girl with a golden mop of hair whispered to Sadie as she pointed to the map. It's the only state in the Union that's shaped like a mitten. What's a mitten? Sadie asked. It's a knit glove to keep your hands warm in the snow, silly, the girl answered. I'd never seen snow, Sadie whispered. We get snow that's so deep here, it reaches all the way up to our second floor window. Where are you from, anyway? The girl asked. She looked puzzled. Sadie remembered what Adela had told her to say. "Uh, We're from Illinois," she answered. But don't you get as much snow as we do? She exclaimed. My name is Sadie. Sadie Crosswhite, she blurted out, trying to change the subject. My name's Polly. Polly Hobart. My daddy is the judge here in Marshall. She grabbed Sadie's hand and took to shaking it. After school that day, they walked home together. Well, I have three brothers, Sadie told Polly. I have two of them, and ain't they smelly? They both laughed. From that day on, you almost never saw Polly without Sadie, or Sadie without Polly. One day, when Sadie was visiting Polly, they was playing dolls up in Polly's room. Suddenly, as she was holding one of the dolls, tears rolled down Sadie's cheeks. Sadie, what's wrong? Polly whispered. The only toy I ever had that was as beautiful as this was a whittled sparrow that January made for me, and I don't have it anymore. What happened to it? Polly asked. It got left in the house in Illinois. Who's January? Polly asked. He was my eldest brother, excepting he wasn't really. He lived with us and I love him like one, Sadie said softly. What happened to him? Polly asked. Sadie finally murmured, He died. Least and that's what I think. Daddy dug his grave himself. I just wish I still had that sparrow, Sadie sputtered. Both them little girls sat on the edge of Polly's bed for the longest time. Look, look, Sadie, it's snowing, Polly suddenly sang out. Both girls ran to the window light. From the sky, Sadie for the first time saw snow. That winter, Sadie got to see for herself how deep snow got in Marshall. Polly taught Sadie and her brothers how to make snowmen and snow angels. Polly took the cross-white kids sledding deep down hills in Ingersoll's Holler by the mill. Adam Crosswhite was doing very well at Mr. Gorham's store, so well that he was soon keeping records and even had people working under him. John was earning real good at the mill. Mr. Ingersoll even let him read some of his law books. He had commenced to spark Aunt Bella's niece, and there was talk that they might marry up. Ben, Sadie, and Cyrus took to book learning so good that all three of them were on the honor roll. Life was good for the Crosswhites there in Marshall. Sadie wasn't having her nightmares as often, and the whole family belonged to a church. Adam and Sarah, along with the Ingersolls and Gorhams, were part of the underground, helping other folks come through Marshall on their way to Canada. But not a day went by that any of them let down their guard. And then came their fourth spring in Marshall. Adam had moved his family into their very own house 2 summers before. One evening, Auction Bell came by to tell Sadie's dad that there was a stranger in town and everybody was watching him. That night, Sadie had a nightmare that was worse than any of her others. She dreamt that Lee, Ford, and Troutman had broke down their door and tried to drag them out of their home. She woke up in a cold sweat, then eased herself when she remembered that she was safe. And the little hair is flying. When she remembered that she was safe, and it was spring and she was in Marshall. In the spring, a very special blessing came upon the Cross White House. Sarah birthed a sweet baby girl. Sadie had a new sister. I'm going to name her Frances, Sarah whispered as they all gathered around her. Sadie and her brothers looked at each other in shock. But Mama, that's Master Giltner's name, and Mr. Troutman's too. How can you do that? Ben asked. So's none of you will ever feel that name again. From now on, you'll think of this here baby girl and know that she was born a free person in a free state. I want her name to stand for freedom from those two men. Then one night, there was a knocking on the door. Mr. Gorham and Mr. Ingersoll came by often, but this night they hurried in. They looked bothered. Adam poured them cups of coffee and chicory. They leaned into Adam. There's talk that slave traders have been seen as close as Coldwater, Gorham said in between sips of coffee. Coldwater is only 12 miles away from here, Adam whispered. He could see Sadie peeking around the edge of the doorway. I heard they captured some runaways in Indiana, near as Goshen, Sarah whispered as she sat down near them. Well, as long as there's breath in my body, no one is going to take any runaways from Marshall, Gorham said as he stood up and pounded his fist on the table. Never, Ingersoll agreed. The Crosswhites whispered more with the two men, and after a time, Ingersoll and Gorham left. Sadie and her brother snuck up on the bed. When Sadie fell into sleep, she had one of her feverish nightmares. The patty rollers came, and they got her family and took to beating all of them. But this time, Mr. Troutman and Master Giltner were standing over them. She woke bolt upright in her bed. Sweat was running down her forehead, and her heart was beating so hard she could hear it. She sat up for the rest of the night, and she waited and watched for the sun to rise. Oh, Sadie. The next morning at breakfast, Adam gathered his family around for a meeting. You probably heard that Patty Rollers has been south of here. I want you children to know that I have a plan. If anyone comes to this here door and tries to take any of us, ever, I've made a signal with Auction Bill. You know he's not more than 3 doors away. So when I fire a single shot in the air, that's the signal to tell the town. People will come and help us. Blacks and white folks will come running, I promise you. I don't want any of you to fret. But, he looked at each of the children. More than ever, you can't tell nobody we's runaways. You can't never tell that to no one. Soon it was summer in Marshall. There had been no more reports of strangers from the South for some time. The county fair was set up near the stockyards south of town. Sadie put on her best shift to go to the fair with Polly, and Aunt Della and Miss Nancy made them a picnic basket. so's they can sit under the shade of the oaks and eat whenever they felt. Sadie and Polly loved the excitement of the fair. Both girls ran from exhibit to exhibit, but Sadie suddenly stopped when they was in front of the hog auction. Auction Bear waved and smiled, but Sadie seemed startled and strangely sad. When the girls were sitting in the shade of the trees, Polly finally spoke. Sadie, something's wrong. You seem so happy. Now you're not. What's wrong? Polly, what would you say if and I told you there is such a place on earth where, where they auction off people just like them hogs? Sadie whispered, watching a man with a stick poke the pigs into a pen. What do you mean, Sadie? Polly asked. There's a place where people stand on the auction blocks chained together, and whites bid on them too. Sadie's voice trailed off. Polly just listened. Whites come up to them and open their mouths and check their hair. They pull babies out of their mama's arms. I seen it. And it don't matter that their mamas fussed and carried on 'cause these babies is sold off. Sold off? Polly asked. There's a place where blacks is owned by other people, Sadie said as tears rolled down her cheeks. I, I come from such a place, Polly. I'm not from Illinois. I come from Kentucky. My mama, sisters, and brothers did too. We is owned by Master Giltner. We is slaves. We is runways, Sadie. Sadie sputtered as she covered her face and sobbed. There ain't no bother to me, Sadie. You'll always be my best friend in the whole wide world, Polly whispered. Then the girls hugged. Polly, you can't never tell what I just told you, or the patty rollers, the slave catchers will find us. Polly rested her fingers over Sadie's lips. I promise. I'll never tell our secret, Sadie. Then the girls ate their picnic lunch together and spoke no more of it. As fall came and went, there were still no more reports of slave catchers. Soon the fourth winter that the Crosswhite Spinning Marshal was upon them. Christmas was celebrated with great joy. Then it was early January. Baby Frances was 10 months old and getting into everything. One day, Ben came running in the front door, stomping the snow off his feet. Sadie, look! Someone left you a package on the porch, and it has your name on it. He handed Sadie a small calico bundle tied with twine. There was a note. Sadie untied the package, and everyone gasped. It was January Sparrow. The note just had 3 words. I found you. Sadie's mama dropped to her knees on the kitchen floor. The patty rollers and Mr. Troutman has found us. They know where we are. I just know it. No, Mama. January left it. I just know it. I can feel it in my heart. Sadie gasped as she held the sparrow close to her cheeks. Oh, baby, Sarah whispered as she knelt in front of Sadie. Your daddy put January in his grave himself. You know that. You have to know that, she said as she hugged Sadie. Then she turned to Ben and Cyrus. Go fetch your father, she hissed. Sadie froze inside. Maybe her mama was right. Her father had warned her not to tell anyone about where they come from, and she told Polly. Maybe Polly said something, or Polly told someone without meaning any harm. Or maybe this was all Sadie's fault. When Cyrus and Ben came back with John and their father, Mr. Gorham and Mr. Ingersoll was with them. Sarah told them what happened and showed them January's sparrow. Gorham spoke first. The only stranger here in town lately was a lawyer looking to open his own practice here. He told me he was an abolitionist. Of course, I told him nothing about anyone. Mr. Ingersoll sat in a heap at the kitchen table, rubbing his chin. Do you remember what his name was? Adam asked Gorham, fearing what he might hear. Yes, his name was Francis Troutman, Gorham answered. Troutman? My lord, I should have told you the names of the people that will be looking for us. I guess I never did. Adam's voice trailed off. Sadie and her brothers grabbed on to each other and rocked with fear. Adam paced back and forth. What we gonna do? Sarah wailed. Excuse me. There's not a black or white man, for that matter, in this here town that is gonna give you up to them. Miss Anthony is going to pause installment 2 here and leave us hanging. I can't wait to see you guys at part 3.